Hello everyone. Today we have with us Grandmaster Swayams Mishra on yet another episode of Tuesday Talks with Saloni. Welcome Swayams. How are you doing today?
Hi, Saloni. Thank you for inviting me. It's very good, and I'm glad to be part of this talk show.
Mhm. Thank you so much for accepting our invite. And I'm really looking forward to some amazing conversation with Swayams because not only is he a very experienced professional chess player, but also now as an experienced coach, he brings a lot of different perspectives. So my first question to you, Sams, is, like I said, you've had experience as both a top professional chess player and as an experienced coach. How has your understanding of sports psychology changed over time?
So, when I was playing initially, I used to think, okay, it's all about chess, it's all about skills
Mhm,
at certain point. Okay, if you work on chess, uh, you get better at it, and that is good enough.
mhm,
Then over the time, especially when I had two grandmaster norms, and it took me like 3.5 years to get my final norm.
mhm,
Especially around the last year, I realized it was more of the psychological thing that was stopping me from achieving my final norm.
mhm,
So I was getting very close, but somehow it was not working. And because of, let's say, goal oriented results or goal oriented training, I would say. So if the results is not going on in some tournament, the motivation would go away. At some point again, I also felt like when I was playing a lot, I wanted desperately to make norm and it's not coming. So
mhm,
then you start like doing it for the sake of it instead of really enjoying it, enjoying the process and all. So that is where I started working on some facts, how I can change my thought process and how I could work better.
mhm,
And that's what I started doing. I remember one of my tournaments which I played was national senior or national championship, Indian championship
mhm.
in 2018.
Okay.
And I dropped like 20 or 20 odd points.
Mhm.
And I remember telling one of my colleagues that my tournament went very well. And because I did not have the goal oriented target in the tournament, I had a separate goal for the tournament. I wanted to try out certain things in the tournament, and that
Mm,
was a success. So I was more happy towards it. And then my subsequent next two tournaments, I went on to increase like close to 38 rating points. So if you see a bigger picture, of course I gained more.
yeah,
So that
definitely.
that, that was success.
Yeah.
So that is what, as a player, I learned, and I have been trying as a coach. Also, I've been trying to use some psychological factors,
Mhm.
and I think some of my students have been benefited from that. I would say
Yeah.
some from my personal experience, and some by trial and error, following other psychologists or other sports personalities in different fields as well.
Yeah. Thank you so much for telling us that because you highlighted something very important when you shifted that perspective from goal orientation to that enjoyment and process orientation. You started looking at the game from a very different lens. And that example was fantastic, where if you look at the outcome of it, you're minus 20. But when you look at the enjoyment and process, you learned so much. You were trying out new things. That's fantastic. Then, how would you define mental toughness or mindset as at present, informed by all of that experience?
So let's say mental toughness is, I believe, which shows how strong you are
Mm-hmm.
when situation or let's say things are more challenging and let's say are not in your favor.
Mm-hmm.
When everything goes in your favor, it's of course easy for most of the people. You don't have to do much.
Yeah.
But when things are against you, everything is against you, how you come back?
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, I can give an example in this case. Someone we know, Ding
Mm-hmm.
Liren.
Mm-hmm.
He was playing the world championship with lot of pressure and all.
Yeah.
But it's amazing he made a comeback. Okay, he
Yeah.
did not win the championship, but the way he made a comeback.
Yeah.
We have Gukesh, who has been struggling for form throughout the year. Even this year, he did not start very well, but I'm sure he's fighting and he's working out on that.
Yeah.
So these people are, let's say, mentally very strong, and that's what mental toughness brings up.
Mm.
And one of the best is probably Magnus.
Mm.
So the best, I watched some of his videos. So he says the best, he cannot cope up with losses.
Mm.
So the only way he feels to cope up with losses is not to lose, or else win the next game. That's
Yeah.
how he copes up with losses. So that's another outlook. Not everyone can deal it the same way.
Yeah.
So everyone has their own process. But yes, at the end of the day, you have to, I believe you have to learn how to overcome this factor that you are down,
Hmm.
everything is down, your chips are down, and then how you make the comeback. That's
Yeah.
what defines a strong player or a mentally strong person in chess as well.
Yeah, thank you for sharing those insights. I think the quality of having that comeback and, being resilient, as we like to call it, is very important because chess is not like many other sports where you have a knockout system. Okay, we do have it in World Cup and some of the other formats, but largely you get to play all the 9 or 11 rounds that are there in each tournament. So then separating yourself from the result of the previous game and coming back and giving your best onto the next game and so on and so forth becomes increasingly more important. And the examples you have given are of really top elite chess players who have played at the world championship level. So when we look at that, it gives us hope of players of all levels that, okay, if I start using that for myself now, it'll be more of an enduring change in my mindset as well. That's really nice. One question then, as we were on the topic of, elite top chess players. If you had to, give a percentage assignments to chess skills and then mental skills required for success in chess performance, I know it won't be like an arbitrary division, but according to you, what would you say the division
You have put me in a tough situation. I would
is?
say it's like tough spot to give the percentage. Yeah, I in the top. I think skills. I think everyone is well equipped, and there, of course, there is a difference for sure, but the
Hmm.
difference is very minimal.
Yeah,
So at that point, there are other factors that come into play, and
yeah,
one of the major factors, what you rightly pointed out, is uh, the psychological part in chess.
yeah,
Some people call it mental game, toughness. There are many other
yeah,
words that has been used,
yeah.
but of course, I would say that plays a very important role, especially when there is tense moment, there is nervous situations, and again, let's say when it is getting close, it's a very close match with clock ticking, that amount of
Mm,
pressure, the calmness you can take over.
yeah.
So there are blunders, people blundering in winning positions. You get nervous, you get excited, and it's very normal to do for all this to happen. So, like even in the top, like one of the case study I had, or I like to see and suggest our viewers also, whoever
Hmm.
your viewers are,
Yeah.
to view it, study it as well. It's the match between Magnus Carlsen and Caruana.
Hmm.
It's one of the high quality world championship matches.
Hmm.
And the last game ended in a draw. All 12 matches ended in a draw, and
Yeah.
it went for the tie breaks.
Yeah.
But the last match, Magnus was clearly better. He went on to make a draw.
Mm,
And Corona ended up drawing it, but he did not play very well. He was
mm,
completely worse, and he was taking decisions because he was thinking about, okay, about the tie breaks. If he goes to tie breaks, he knows Magnus was a better player.
mm.
And I read somewhere that he could not sleep the previous night thinking about the tiebreak, so he desperately wanted to win.
Right.
And that built up an additional pressure
Mm,
at, for the world championship. And he took some wrong decisions, got into worse position. At the same time, Magnus, keeping Magnus' perspective or
mm,
Magnus' scenario, So he had this clear mindset.
Mhm.
I'm going to play a game. I'm happy with a draw. I'm going to take minimal risks.
Hmm.
So he had a better position. He had chances, but he was not taking any risk in that game.
Hmm.
So he went with the approach, okay, draw is fine.
Yeah.
So some people might criticize this approach or might say he missed some ideas, but
Yeah.
he had a clear mindset in the game.
Right.
Whereas the mindset of Fabiano was clouded. He wanted to win at certain point, whereas the position he sees is not good enough. So maybe
Hmm.
he should take a draw, but then he wants to go ahead with the scenario. So
Yeah.
that might have clouded his mind, and
Hmm.
that led into scenarios where he had taken some wrong decision.
Yeah.
So as you can see, I'm quoting an example from the World Championship.
Yeah.
So of course, here we can see how psychology plays a big role as well.
Yeah.
I would say maybe it's close to uh, maybe 30 to 40%, I
Mhm.
would say.
Mhm.
Psychology plays a role, and chess skills around 50%. And there are some factors,
Yeah.
external factors, and let's say your decision making that day, you wake up, you feel very energetic, you feel very positive. That, of course, helps.
Yeah. No, of course. Thank you for sharing that example and that different kind of analysis of the World Championship that we all have witnessed. Because, most of the analysis happens from the chess perspective. What moves could have they played? How differently could have the game gone, etc. But no one really understands or, looks into these behind the scenes mindset related things that are happening. What you were telling was so great, and in relation to also the perspective that you harbored, that Fabiano was almost playing from a goal oriented perspective, where the result of not having a draw was so increasingly important that not only it could have affected his mindset before the game, but also, informed his mindset before he went into the tie breaks. Whereas for Carlsen, it was such that it's fine, results at the present don't matter. The game is what I'm looking at. Very nice. Yeah, that's a great way for even the viewers to understand how mindset can play such a crucial role. My following question then is, as we were on the topic of psychological obstacles, from your experience as a chess player and also as a coach, what are some common psychological obstacles that you see, say maybe within yourself when you were playing actively and now in your students?
So one of the major things is the fear of losing.
Mm.
That's what I felt as a player,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe many others also do not like the fact that okay, they would lose.
Yeah.
So at times we end up not taking a risk, or let's say looking in the game, taking some decisions because we are afraid we might end up losing.
Mm.
So that is something I feel. And as a coach, one common thing I see with the young generation is worried about rating.
Yeah.
That is something that's common for
Mm-hmm.
sure. So I think, yes, it's a competitive world and rating matters. But again, if you look at a bigger picture, I think rating is just a number.
Yeah.
It's going to increase, it's going to decrease, it's going to be changed. And everyone, I believe in the world, almost everyone, let's put it this way, almost everyone in the world have decreased the rating for in certain phases in
Yeah.
their career. Those who did not, I think, did not play tournaments after getting rating,
Yeah.
or maybe the less number of tournaments.
Yeah.
So in the journey, of course, that you are going to lose lot of games.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe here I can just put in a small advice. What I give to my students
Yeah.
is, if you want to be a grandmaster,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to lose 500 games,
Mm.
and you're going to lose one of the games. One game out of 500 is nothing. So
Yeah.
you keep counting till you lose 500. After that, you say. So no one actually keeps the count.
Yeah.
So by the time you reach 500, of course, they would have become a much stronger player by then.
Yeah. Thank you for that amazing advice. I wish, like, when I was playing, if I would have gotten that, definitely I would have pushed a little more. But yeah, when you have that perspective, and like you rightly said, no one has a very straight upwards graph. It's always like a little bit of lows, then you go have a more high, a little bit low, again a little more high. And that's how you progress, because Rating correction is also a factor. What do you think about that, and how can that tie into, psychological aspects when, say, players increase rating and then again they have a little bit of drop? How can they cope with that according to you?
So I think it's part of every sports that
Mm-hmm.
you're going to have some good days, some bad days.
Yeah.
That's very natural. And as a sports person, I think we should learn to cope up with it.
Mm.
There are players, in fact, very strong players who find it difficult to take losses, or the rating decrease in rating. They find it hard to digest, or
Yeah.
it takes time,
Yeah.
and they are the one who lack consistency, I would say.
Mm.
Sometimes they end up like when things are not there, going their way, they end up making some random stupid mistakes which they regret later for sure.
Right.
I mean, in chess, not in life, of course.
Yeah.
I think in life, it should not, like, okay, there are very few examples to quote that way.
Yeah.
But in chess, yes, they get affected by it. And the next game also sometimes, or even next tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point, there is also loss of confidence
Mm-hmm.
that is noticeable in the player or the students.
Mm-hmm.
So again, one good way to cope up with it is not to think so much about rating again.
Yeah.
That is one way. But at some point, okay, if you are thinking, you have to accept that end of the day, you want to become a stronger player.
Yeah.
Rating is like, let's say, a secondary goal. The
Mm-hmm.
main goal should be to become a better player, try to improve your strength.
Yeah.
Rating will automatically come.
Yeah.
Like there's this saying in Hindi.
Mm-hmm.
I think some of them can correlate with it.
Yeah.
It was quote of a movie dialogue from the movie is Three Idiots.
Uh-huh.
कामयाबी के पीछे मत भागो, and the exact statement I forgot.
Yeah.
Uh, like follow the process or work,
Yeah.
success will follow you automatically.
Right. Right.
That's
Yeah.
that's what it correlates.
Yeah. No, that is definitely such a great takeaway for our viewers as well, where you focus more so on the skill, the art, the game that you're focusing on. And even in like sports psychology perspectives, we like to call these as reorienting to your purpose of what you're doing and why you're doing. Because most of the times, if you ask some chess player, oh, why do you play chess? Their answer would likely be because I love the game, because I enjoy the game. And then when you ask that, okay, then in this game where you focus so much about, if I lost, this would be the case. If I won, this would be the case. How much percent did you actually enjoy? The question really makes them reflect, take a moment and understand, oh, if that's what I'm playing, I actually didn't do that at all.
Right.
So, connecting both of that, that's such a great takeaway for everyone who's watching and also for me. Thank you for sharing that with us. Um, Building upon that a little more, would you, if you're comfortable, share any examples of, students you might have taught or your colleagues or even yourself where you observed that psychological, obstacles played some role. And then when those were fixed, the performance again went back to how it was or even got better, you know?
Okay. There are several examples which I can quote. I would like to mention one recent example.
Mm-hmm.
One of my student, I would say, was playing very well in
Mm-hmm.
couple of tournaments, but the result was not coming.
Okay.
And we had like some sessions analyzing the games and all. And the problem was in, let's say, in couple of tournaments, the
Mm-hmm.
games, a lot of games ended in draws,
Mm.
like very less wins. Of course, the opposition was stronger, but
Yeah.
still win was something that was lacking. And the mindset also started to be in the frame that, okay, let me exchange pieces, go towards an end game and make a draw.
Yeah.
That's how it was going, first tournament and around second tournament as well.
Mm-hmm.
Then we discussed about this aspect, and immediately that player agreed and made some small changes, and it worked better for
Mm.
that play. And this third tournament itself, the player made the norm.
Mm.
So that was one example. Another example, I would say, was one of the players
Mm-hmm.
with whom basically I would say he had other trainers and he was working with others as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he took some sessions on me, mainly analyzing the games,
Okay.
working on certain aspects, but mainly it was kind of psychological.
Mm.
So what used to happen is after like during the games, he would feel like okay, uh, he was better and all, but he would feel excited or nervous and he would want to take a draw, or he would remember, okay, in a previous scenario where
Yeah.
there was a sin, like I did not take a draw of my opponent, I ended up losing.
Yeah.
Then he would take a draw again.
Mm.
So again, addressing those problems, what I understood is like he was more worried that the things in the past would keep on repeating.
Yeah.
So again, I told, okay, let's go. We'll play. If you lose, it's okay.
Yeah.
Then he played. First game, he lost.
Mm.
A rejecting draw, he lost.
Yeah.
Then second game, he had this thought. He wanted to accept draw. He
Yeah.
did not. He played on, and then he went on to blunder in the end, but he was winning.
Mm.
But that gave him confidence, slight confidence that okay, I can play.
Right.
Again, next time he tried, it worked out well. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not that you achieve the goal or the result you want in your first attempt. So it might take you some time. You have to keep trying.
Yeah.
But these are some scenarios I can tell psychologically which has made changes. Especially there are players who have problems facing low rated.
Mm.
That is something which I have seen very often, that either they go into time trouble or they just don't know how to win against low rated because psychologically they think everything becomes a draw.
Yeah.
So when they make this small adjustment or changes without much changes in the quality of play, the results are very different from what they have been getting. But
Mm.
of course, it doesn't. The change they try to make doesn't happen overnight. It takes quite some time to make those changes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you brought out some interesting points from these examples. One that if I make a change, oftentimes people expect tomorrow I'll start seeing results. But having that patience, be it chess adjustments or, mental skills related adjustments, essentially those are revisions and you will take time to get accustomed to those revisions and then those changes will come. So adjusting expectations then becomes very important. And then also from your second example, the factor of how emotions and thoughts play into our decisions in chess. Because essentially chess is a game of decisions. We make a decision at every move, then also for like, such as taking a draw or not, playing for a win or not, etc. So how can we keep aside or, acknowledge those emotions, but yet follow through with what it is that we're going forward with? So
Yeah, I
that's,
think it's
yeah,
very difficult to get this mindset, ideal mindset, where you don't play for result.
yeah,
Of course, I tried to get into that mindset, and I was close to achieving it when I was practicing it.
yeah.
But it's very, very difficult. I think you might be knowing better than that.
No, thank you for saying that. But that actually brings me to my next question. If, mindset and having such a strong mindset with all of these things considered is important, how do you envision as a chess coach and a sports psychology consultant working together for the whole, holistic benefit of the chess player? How would you say you envision that?
So for let's say chess,
Mm-hmm.
chess is a much more psychological game than any other sports
Mm-hmm.
to that instance.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I feel the psychology part in chess is missing.
Yeah.
It's there in the top level. We can see examples. I have heard of these instances where super GMs have taken psychologists with them in tournaments,
Yeah.
and we know about Gukesh
Yeah.
hiring Paddington
Yeah.
as mental trainer. So there has been many instances in the top,
Mm-hmm.
but what is lacking is the upcoming players. They need this mindset, and this is where I think sports psychologist can come into, and also let's say to some instances coaches also having a better mindset or a better approach could help.
Yeah.
So, for example, even let's say me telling to some of my students that, okay, if you score 0 out of 9, it's okay,
Yeah.
but I want you to give your best and
Yeah.
play your best. So that word or that saying gives confidence.
Yes.
But if as a coach we are continuously saying, okay, why you lost, you dropped this much rating and
Mm.
all, those negative sentences does affect a student or a player as well, and that can affect his results.
Yeah.
So that way, I think the awareness is definitely something which is lacking.
Hmm.
Whereas, like I try to take examples or follow other sports, and there have been many
Yeah.
nice, let's say, upcoming players and all who have said how psychology played a important role. Like for example, in cricket, there's a big boom on psychology
Yeah.
and how people are coming back. Especially, there are some players in the Indian team, some England, Australian players. About psychology, there are many examples that we can consider.
Right.
But somewhat it is lacking in chess. But okay, I think slowly people like you and I think many others definitely would bring that change. I'm hopeful about it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for saying that, Sams. That's actually the motivation behind which Mind Over Moves was started. Because when I was a chess player, I too had these questions. Of course, I discussed them with my coach, but having that person who connects with you from a chess perspective and also has that sports psychology education can be very beneficial. And then at the same time, when coaches like you also tie those psychological aspects into their training, that can also be very, very helpful for the player. You said something very important. Chess has a bigger psychological chunk than many other sports, largely because ours is a cognitive sport, largely like sitting and everything goes on in our mind. So then managing those personal aspects and chess aspects together in our mind during the game becomes increasingly tougher. And also to not to consider the fact that before the game, after the game also affect the next game and so on and so forth. So yes, that is very important. And in this case, how do you feel about integrating sports psychology even for, say, coach education? Maybe if players don't have access or the capacity to work with sports psychologists, how about sports psychologists work with coaches to teach those skills, and then it's like teach the trainer kind of model? What are your opinions of that?
That's quite interesting. I think that can make even more bigger impact.
Mm-hmm.
Because okay, as a coach, like as a like there are many players possible that many would not understand the importance of the psychological aspects.
Yeah.
But as a coach, okay, the number of coaches are much lesser in comparison to number of players.
Hmm.
So, but they keep teaching lot of kids
Right.
or let's say young players, and it's important, I think, to condition the players when they're young.
Hmm.
So that way, I think a coach can play a very important role if this they are being taught and they can be like implement or try these psychological aspects or skills, or I don't know the exact word for this,
Yeah.
but okay, using this psychological perspective maybe in their coaching, and that could maybe bring a change for sure.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. And then to build upon that, what are some sports psychology concepts that you are curious about, maybe to explore or just learn more?
I'm always into learning as
Uh-huh.
much as possible. So, for example, in chess, I have read some books
Mm-hmm.
which have which are related to or have uh, given some instances about psychology, tournaments, during tournaments, how to deal with the factors and all.
Hmm.
So those kind of interest me for sure.
Yeah.
And like, let's say, one of the things that I follow or learned was by the legendary Australian spinner
Mm.
cricketer Shane Warne.
Mm-hmm.
So there was this Indian Premier League in
Mm-hmm.
cricket in the first edition. His team managed to win, where
Okay.
he did not have enough players,
Hmm.
like enough as in enough superstars, let's say.
Right.
So, like people can say this not having superstar is a problem or something.
Hmm.
But it was good in that scenario that, okay, there is no superstar, so everyone is treated equally. Everyone
Yeah.
has a chance.
Yeah.
That is the way you look upon it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's like how you look at a glass.
Yeah.
It's half full, half empty, and there are many more other ways of saying it.
Yeah.
So, coming back to what I was saying about
Mm-hmm.
Shane Warne, so he said something which touched me deeply, and I follow it always.
Mm-hmm.
So either you win or you learn.
Yeah.
So the saying, like he was asked by a journalist, so how did you celebrate your win
Mm-hmm.
yesterday? I said we went out and partied.
Mm.
Then they asked how did you cope up with your previous loss? We went out, partied. Next day we came and practiced.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
Yeah.
So that was something which is very professional and very subtly put,
Yeah.
that no matter whatever happens, result is aside, you enjoy. After that, next day, you again come back and do as if it's a normal job.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is really, really helpful to everyone who's watching, and also for me that, when you win or you lose, people often look at, oh, if I'm losing, this is how I will cope up with it. But also on the flip side, when you win, it's also important to not get too excited or too, consumed by that result, because at the end, if you are doing the exact same thing to learn and grow, then results at some point become immaterial in the sense that they don't influence you that strongly.
Right.
So that example of Shane Warne was great. I think, sometimes you win, sometimes you learn is definitely a very catchy phrase. Thank you for that. So as we come to the end of today's conversation, I want to ask you one last question. To all those who are viewing, these could be chess players, other coaches, parents of chess players, etc. What would be your advice in terms of mental skills training that often gets overlooked in chess? What would be your some advice, final words? Yeah.
So the major thing that I would say is, let's say, players, yes, we address the
Mm-hmm.
players' mindset and all. At least there are some players, coaches who do it.
Mm-hmm.
One thing which is important is to have a good support system or ecosystem built around the player.
Mm-hmm.
So that can consist of coaches, friends, and also parents.
Yeah.
So sometimes, let's say with young kids, this is what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Parents subconsciously try to compare with another player
Right.
of similar rating or similar age, could be a friend or a fellow competitor, fellow statemate, countryman, and that puts additional pressure unknowingly on a kid.
Yeah.
So that is something which I feel is something which is overlooked at many occasions,
Mm-hmm.
and parents think it's normal.
Mm-hmm.
But that does put additional pressure, and like when the kids, when he's playing again, that factors come in. I know some players when they were young, they used to think, okay, if I don't win this or if I lose this,
Mm-hmm.
how do I answer my parent?
Yeah.
That is something. Of course, that's not the ideal scenario. Again, the player is worried of, it's not about the result. He's not thinking about winning. He's thinking about, okay, if I lose, how do I answer it?
Yeah.
So that's something concerning, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, it has been evolved over time, and I think many parents are aware about these scenarios as
Yeah.
well. And but I can say every kid's journey is going to be unique. You cannot compare it with another player or another thing.
Yeah.
And also, let's say most parents make this comparison selectively. Now, when a
Yeah.
player is doing good, they would follow that player. But
Yeah.
in the tournament where that player is not doing good, they will select another player and compare.
Yeah.
Yes, I think everyone in, maybe I would say I also had this share of this kind of thought process. I think you might also maybe relate to it.
Yeah.
But of course, with time and psychology coming into like psychologists like you and like many others coming into it, would help to bring this change. And also, let's say there are a lot of other material also in YouTube and other places, books which are available that help you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I think all the advice that you have given throughout today's conversation is so helpful and will benefit those who watch. And like I say, myself as well, all these conversations, because you come with so much experience, right? It doesn't always have to be from this perspective of that. It's just also the journey of a person, how you were a grandmaster, like still are, but like an active playing, and then also to a coach. The whole viewpoint of that. Thank you so much for taking the time today to share your thoughts. And we really appreciate everything that you have shared with us today.
Thank you for the kind words, and thank you for hosting.
Of course.